It's gonna be a good one.
It's gonna be a good one.
Definitely a different type of process.
Cut down or freeze up.
Being a coach's son.
Jackson, of course, they keep retooling. One stone to face, a hit by pitch. Oh my goodness. Hello everyone, welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for this edition of YBMcast, Legion Baseball Talk. Got some good stuff for you here today. Got some great stuff coming up. Centennial Games, All-Star Game at Busch again this year. Believe that date is August 3rd, right?
I'll take your word for it. I haven't seen it yet.
I shouldn't say that yet. I don't know. Sorry, Tom. Shh. My bad. We're going to be live streaming the state championships. We got a lot of stuff going on. Good stuff going on. Baseball everywhere, all the time. Legion Baseball Talk today on the show. The man next to me, Chris Copeland, post 156 over in Kirkwood. How you doing, bud?
I'm good, man. How are you? Good to see you again.
Yeah.
Been a while. This off-season stuff.
Dude, we've been chatting it up. Had some great stuff, great conversations, across the board with a lot of guys. I love it. I really do. We're going to try and get Coach Hunt from over at Moberly on, talk some baseball up in those areas. And I like that part of it, too, because, Legion Baseball, a lot of places. I think we'll get Matt Morgan over. I think what they're doing over at Post 131, the Mule Club.
Yep.
They got some good stuff going on over there, too.
Everybody's got to find their own level. And I think what you see in the state is so many different programs approaching it for their community. And that's what makes Legion special, right, is the community aspect of it, and you're pulling from your community. And you see guys like Mule Club and Moberly have found something that works. Ellsbury's success, like you got different places who do it different ways, and they all end up seeing each other in state tournaments is what you love.
We talked with Connor Spinagle last week, and it's the same thing, Sedalia, the way they're having to do it. Because, it's, as you said, the difference in, say, a Kirkwood in this Metroplex area to a Sedalia or to, Oak Grove, they have a little bit bigger space and whatnot. But definitely a Moberly, which is north of Columbia there. Yeah. That's a small town stuff.
Yeah, and again, it works for each of these programs, and what's great is when you get leaders in who understand where the opportunity is and provide quality coaching, and they go out and they play quality programs and kind of start to realize we're onto something here, and communities get excited about it.
Absolutely. Well, there's a lot of changes that have gone on, especially even since we talked last on the show. There's some new stuff. We've been talking to the new state commission, state commissioners. Mark Lewis has jumped in there. Connor Spinagle, Kent Getsy jumping in. Russ Klicker's taking on a new role. It's just kind of been wow.
Yeah.
Can't leave out Scott Blackwell. I think Scott does a lot of good things down there. His program, we're looking forward to talking to those guys a lot this off season. I think Eureka does a nice job down there. But you've taken on a new role yourself. You're now the district chairman. Is it District 10, right?
District 10. Yeah, that came with a big pay bump. So,
we're
excited about that. I'm waiting for that first check to clear. So as soon as that happens, we'll let you know. Look, I think, there are some new rules around the younger ages, which I think are important, and we can talk about those as they pertain to District 10. Look, the biggest thing I'm excited about with District 10 is somehow, and I'm not excited about the first part of the statement, I'm the second oldest guy running a team in District 10 right now.
That's all right. I don't think that's wrong.
Yeah,
that's good. That's
Look,
great.
It just means I'm old. Yeah, that's the problem. It means I'm
buddy.
old. It means I'm old. But Maryland Heights, Logan Gilbert's taken over there.
Oh, very
Chesterfield has had some younger guys in. Manchester has had some younger guys in. Obviously, Baker out at Eureka taking over, running the varsity team. You're seeing younger guys run these varsity teams, which is great. It's a connection to the players. They appreciate the real recent experience these guys have had, and it just brings an energy level. Like these guys are out there wanting to take us kind of older guys down, and their players follow along. So I think that, to me, above all the other things the state's doing a lot of great things. Like in District 10, the youth movement of the coaching is just a critical piece of it.
Now, I want to ask you this, because I think I love this. I love what's happening there. I think it's great. You know, we're in the metro area. There's still a lot going on that way, District 10. But when you get out into some of the other, I think that's Zone 2 up in Northwest, right? Yep. Zone 4, there's still, the districts get a little thin.
Yep.
So how does that, how do you think that's going to work itself out? What are your thoughts on that? Because I know there's been some hubbub from here and there, which I don't think is bad. I don't think, you try and work to the advantage for everybody, but going right to zone championships, and things of that nature. What do you think is kind of the future here? What do you see?
Yeah, look, I think we've got to be realistic. You could get into very cute scenarios of we should have zone champs and we should have wild cards. So if a team's had a great season but has a bad week, they shouldn't be out of the mix. The reality is this is always going to get settled on the field. And,
absolutely.
Look, for us, we come through District 10. We then go down and play in the zone tournament, and you're always going to see Mark and Jackson. You're going to see St. Jen. You're going to see Festus, right? Like, you're going to earn your way through it. And, we can sit here and go, well, this zone is a little bit lighter right now.
I understand,
but,
right.
At the same time, I think if we want to simplify it down, I sat here with you when we were starting last season.
Sure.
What did I tell you? Ellsbury's the best team in this state.
Yeah.
And they were from start to finish.
Yeah.
And in some ways, everybody else was playing. I feel bad for Moberly. I think they lost them 5 times. But, at the same time.
And Moberly was a very good baseball team.
Like being
good baseball team.
Being runner-up to Ellsbury is nothing to sneeze at this past year.
No.
So there are going to be some years where it isn't going to matter how many teams are where and what. Mm-hmm. One team's just going to be class. And then there are going to be other years where it's going to feel more open.
So how the square, the things that, as being a district, and I think it's great. I love that competition. You guys play a full schedule. Do you think it's ever just, it's kind of like, I think it's interesting, you play a full schedule with the district. Why isn't it just the top team that goes in?
Yeah, look, I think there are different ways to think about it, right? It used to be in District 10, whoever won the regular season was the team that went.
Oh,
and then we started postseason. It was whoever wins the postseason, and if we get the wild card slot, whoever won the regular season. So there are different ways to think about this.
I got you.
Look, one of the things we in the metro area can sell different than club ball is we're not
you're still a club.
Sure.
It's different than.
Right. I'm not, again, like we can look at my bank account versus the Adidas bank account. And
exactly.
We can say we're both clubs, but again,
I get what you're saying. But
But
you're competing as far as club baseball. And to me, this no offense, and I'm not trying, but I think it should be that we're the oldest club baseball around. Why don't you come over and check out and join the tradition of what we're doing? And when you look at baseball. American Legion's always been club baseball.
Yeah, my point is this. The A's, the Recruits, the Tigers, they're playing every weekend.
Sure.
Right? They play every weekend. One of the things we sell as our club and our organization is a different type of thing, right? I heard Connor on here saying, like, hey, I'm playing 50 to 60 games.
Yep.
God bless him. God bless him if that's what those parents want to sign up for. My guys are signing up for an opportunity to play some during the week, to play on the weekends, to play in a postseason structure. And so one of the things I think you have to take into account with that is how do you account for different teams are going to have different roster configurations at different times before you get, like, I tell my parents, if you want to take a vacation in June, love you. If you want to take a vacation in July when postseason starts, we're probably not on speaking terms. And so I think we have to be cognizant that you get into different structures, and our structure is one where, like, hey, I'd love for a regular season title to advance you to zones. But some teams have one or two guys, and a regular season suits, they will schedule so those one or two guys pitch out. Like,
I get you there.
I saw Eureka's best pitcher 4 times last year.
Right.
Every time we played them, they rolled him out, and he was really good. But then when you get to postseason, and the reason why we were able to come through our postseason tournament is because my depth allowed me in a double elimination tournament to outlast everybody else. Mm-hmm. So there, again, like, you have to kind of pick your structures. And I know
Eureka, though, was in the state championship.
They were. They absolutely were. And look, they hit. Like, I mean, the reality was we went down to zones. We played 3 games. We gave up 4 runs in 3 games, and one of those was 10 innings. You give up 4 runs in 3 games, you wouldn't expect to be 1-2. We just didn't hit. And, like, that's baseball.
That's baseball.
That's baseball.
Yeah.
But I had the arms that, we could play a postseason tournament. So I think there are just different ways that suit certain teams better. And so I don't know that there's one great answer to, should we be like District 9 and District 13 where they kind of just skip a district tournament and go straight to a bigger zone tournament? We've actually talked about that. Scott Blackwell and I have talked about that at the single A level. Because in District 10 right now we have 2 single A teams, so 15 U teams. Playing a best of 3 to decide who goes to state versus, hey, why don't we go ahead and merge with District 11, whatever it is, and just have a zone tournament before that? Is that a better answer? I don't know. Like, we're trying to figure out at different levels what to do. So I think it just depends.
And I like this conversation because we've talked at the state level for the last few weeks and whatnot, but love having this conversation at the district level, because it is, there are nuances to being in these areas where there's more teams in a district, to the nuances where, in a zone, zone 2, even in what is this? This is zone 1.
Yep.
Correct. And you go north. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. Those districts up there, it's a little thinner, right?
Yeah. And look, it's, again, like, there are different. You take a step back, and this is where I come from it as a program chair and think about it at district. What are my kids trying to get out of the summer?
Fair.
Right?
Yeah.
What do they want?
Yeah.
Right? If I go back and I think about my summer this past year, we played Ellsbury. Mm-hmm. We played Eureka too many times, 3. We played Washington 3 times. We played at Alton. We went over to Indiana and played what ended up being the state champions from Ohio and one of the Final 4 from Illinois over there. We played Festus. We played St. Jen. We played Jackson. That's what my kids want. We didn't make it to state, but my kids played strength of schedule wise. So that's what I'm trying to create for my summer. So if it means someone else has got a thinner structure, look, there's no scenario where we're going to go NCAA tournament here and take the top 16 and kind of bracket it out.
I got you.
I think at a program level, you kind of figure out, again,
what works best for you?
60 games? Do I want to play the best 30 games I can play? What is it my guys want that ultimately makes it an appealing choice for a family to go, yep, that's the structure I want?
I love that. And, when you're talking, as a district chairman, I think those are the conversations you're having across the board with all the clubs, correct?
Yeah. I mean, we're trying to get to a place where we want, our district's an interesting district because you can go back to right before COVID and the 2 years prior to COVID, Lee May, which isn't even around anymore, won District 10 at the varsity level. So you look at our district and it's like, I want Chesterfield. Mm-hmm. I want Maryland Heights. I want Baldwin to find a new level because it raises the perception and it raises the conversation. The reality is, we work hard in Kirkwood, no different than Scott and those guys do in Eureka, to have people in our community know about Legion baseball on a different level. But I need the rest of my district to also have that same kind of energy, because it's easy then to go like, oh, yeah, there's a good district, good Legion program at Maryland Heights. Oh, there's a good one out at Chesterfield. It just raises all the boats. So that's what we're trying to do at a district level.
And Chris, I think I love this conversation because, as you're talking about that, so you're spreading these out, and that's the thing, that's the conversation. And I think because of what baseball is, especially around the St. Louis metro area, say what you want to, it is, you say club baseball. Well, we're a club. Mm-hmm. We got coaching, we got development, we got all those things like this. This is what we do. This is how we do. And giving people that look that go, I didn't know Legion Baseball was a club. And I think there is some of that people have to kind of get past a little bit and understand that, hey, guys, we're still in the same place. It's just a different structure. We do things maybe a little bit differently than some of the others. But the development process, the things that we do and how we're looking at, just like you said, what's best for the player? Where do they want to get to? What's the next step for them? It's no different than any other club in the area.
Well, and look, here's where I think we're on a 3-year transformation at Post 156 and how we do things. Mm-hmm. And the reason we're on that transformation is because when you look at the structure of Legion Baseball, there are 3 levels.
Correct.
15U, 17U, and 19U.
Exactly.
What most of our players and their families don't appreciate is that middle 17U level. Because Agreed. If you historically with Post 156, we've had a good freshman group, been to state 2 of the last 3 years. And then we start to see some kids who are recruited. Their high school coach gets a bonus from a club to bring them to his club, and so he recruits them away. And that happens. And they go and play 16U baseball. Okay, you can go play 16U baseball, but if you stay in the Legion structure, what you're actually playing is 17U baseball. Right. And you're playing guys who may be juniors.
And it's more of a mix of that high school feel, isn't it?
Right, and so what is important for us is we kind of transition, right? When you get to 15U, generally speaking, what's the most important thing for most kids? I don't care what club you're at. I want to make my high school team.
Right.
Okay. So if I'm a parent, I want to know that the 15U team I'm going to play on, and I'm going to commit to them in the fall when they're starting to go into their freshman year, I want to know this club has a track record of developing kids who play high school baseball. Right. That's the thing I care about right then, right? Because you're not signing a 4-year commit here. You're committing for that season, right? And we know parents shop, and that's all good. So I want to know, this club has a 98% success rate of their kids making the high school baseball team.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. That's 15U baseball. We walk away from 15U baseball. Now the discussion is, now what?
Yeah.
Okay?
Right.
Do I want, I made the freshman team. The hard part's over with high school. Now I'm a high school baseball player. So now, kids, you watch the shift. You have kids who are like, all right, I want to keep playing high school ball. I want to play multi-sports, whatever it is. Then you have some who go, maybe I can play in college. Maybe I've got the skills.
Maybe you made the JV squad as a freshman.
Maybe I need to up or change my club because I see this club over here has a bunch of guys on social media. Okay, maybe that's the right move for you. And maybe being on a 16U red, black, gold, whatever color team is the right thing. And going and playing a perfect game in Iowa is the right thing. Could be.
Yeah,
could very well be. For some kids, it absolutely is. And for other kids, that versus, hey, I can go play against a 17U kid is, I think, an underrepresented part. So where we're going to get to by the end of next summer, not this upcoming summer, the next summer, I'm going to have a 15U. I'm going to have a 16U for those who, frankly, aren't ready for 17U competition levels, but love the game, want to continue to play in high school, but probably don't have the same aspirations. And then I'm going to have a 17U team, which is going to be a combination, frankly, of kids who are young, So they may be actually going into senior year, but they're young, so they can play 17U, usually a PO type. 16Us who are really good, who want that challenge, and kids who are just age appropriate should be on the 17U, probably play that. And then I'm going to have a 19U team, and that 19U team is going to be some of those kids who walked away from Legion Ball because they wanted to go get that scholarship somewhere. It's going to be some kids who have been with us throughout, and it's going to be some kids who've played club and gone, other club ball and gone, I don't want to go to Car Shield after my senior year. I'm not ready to be done with baseball. I want to play that strength of schedule I talked about. And so our program is going to evolve over the next year and a half to where we will have 4 teams on the regular. Parents will understand how they can get to wherever there is, whether it's high school ball, whether it's college ball. Like we've got a kid playing at McKendree right now. We've got a kid playing at Truman right now. I've got at least 2 on what will be my upcoming team this summer who are going to play college ball. Like they're going to know, like, oh, these guys know the path.
I love Tim Kernow over there at McKendree too.
So we've got certainly a vision for our program. Now, I'll share that with everybody else in our district as district chair and say, like, this is right? This is like, look, the first thing I've got to do is I got 6 or 7 19U teams in our district. I got 4 or 5 17U teams in our district, and I got 2 15U teams. Well, I got to get to a place where I've got a AA for every AAA, and I've got at least 4 single A's for my AA. And that's the growth we need as a district.
I love the fact, and especially going back to this, and I've said this, and I was talking to all the different guys, and you brought it up. You said it, right off the get, 15U, 17U, 19U. It's what it's got to be, because that's what people understand in the culture today. I mean, if you say A, AA, AAA, they're thinking, well, I'm only, if you say, well, I've got a AA team, well, I'm a AAA player. Yeah, well, that's not what we mean.
Well, and again, like you,
and nothing that doesn't even matter anymore at 15 and up, really.
And you got to communicate this with the parents so they understand when, their son is not on the varsity AAA team, why not? And the answer is because, well, we have an opportunity for you to play at 17U.
Right.
And that's a solid competition level with the schedule we provide. And like, again, I think there are always going to be families who are chasing the next opportunity. And that's
absolutely
okay. Like you got to do whatever you believe is in the best interest of your kid. And there are also going to be families who say what matters most is quality reps during the summer.
Absolutely.
And, if we failed anywhere this past year as a program, we had too many kids on our rosters. I thought a bunch of kids would have jobs and girls, and apparently baseball was all their commitment. So we had a lot of guys.
That's not a bad thing.
It's not until you're trying to juggle rosters and you don't have enough reps. And so, like, our refocus for this year is, like, guys have to get reps. Families have to know, like, you're coming in, this is your level, this is the competition. And you asked the question earlier about structure. I got to be honest. I don't know that I care how many games I win in the regular season. I say that now, and then
I get that.
I get to be Getsy, I'm going to want to be Getsy, right? Like, that's just the way the world works. And he'd say the same thing, I'm sure. Like, but I'm trying to build, because again, what differentiates Legion Ball is I'm trying to build to go through a postseason.
I agree.
In a different way. And so if I'm prepared to play those games, then our regular season's been a success no matter what.
Because a lot of the other clubs that we're talking about don't go through a postseason that way. And I think that's that's one of the things that's the biggest difference to me. And I love that structure. And if you want to learn how to compete in that kind of thought process, which is high school, college, professional baseball, it's all that way. It's all geared that way. And I think those things that's a real thought process. Yeah. And the other part of this, when we're talking about districts, and what you mentioned, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hit you.
No.
Is, the next part of that, you're talking about your club and what you've done that way. How do you translate this, and what's the reception towards this from the other clubs in your district?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think it's good. Like, there's a stud pitcher on Chesterfield's team that I think part of the appeal for him being a club player is the competition he's seen. I referenced it earlier. Coaches who are younger, who have the energy, who have new ideas. I'll give Russ and Tom a lot of credit. When I first sat with them last fall, one of the things I said is we've got to up the education level for our coaches. They did the program in conjunction with St. Louis University as a coaching clinic.
Yep.
Like more of those kind of things is the top down, bottom up, meet in the middle kind of approach that we need. So like the fact that there are Eureka and Post 156 that other clubs, these younger guys look at and go, I want to be there. Bring it. Let's see what happens. Let's compete.
To your point too, I always liked what Tom was saying, and Tom has said this. Where's the succession? A succession plan. You're there. You got a lot of energy and whatnot, but at some point, you'll move on. It'll age, family, this, that, whatever the case may be. Who's that next guy and where are those things at? And I think that's very important. And I love the fact that you're getting a lot of these younger guys in the clubs around you, because I think that's what it needed. I think it needed that fresh air.
Yeah, and look, there are three parts that go into running a club, being over a district. There's the logistics. Mm-hmm. Who you going to play? Where are your fields? Where's your winter training? All those kind of logistical things. And you need an old head who has got the tolerance to open up a spreadsheet and worry about that stuff, right? That's what running a club is. Like, all right, we got to get the money in. We got to get the checks out. We got to pay umpires, all that stuff. Then there's development. How are you developing players so that families want to be a part of your club?
Sure.
And then there's this new part, which is recruitment. Right? How do you get high school coaches to know about you? How do you get these players to consider you versus clubs that they see, right? Yeah. Our guys, every winter we give our guys a hoodie. We don't do it by accident or because we're worried they're going to be cold. We want them wearing around high school, right? We want them walking in the hallways wearing our hoodie, right? Like,
put it on.
Yeah, like, all right, I guess you can be cold in the winter. Like, if you've met a teenage boy, they're wearing shorts no matter what, so they ain't cold.
Put the hoodie on.
Put the hoodie on because I want people to know, right? I want you wearing my hat in school. So the recruitment piece is the piece that's it's the hardest one. And when you get new guys into these clubs, it's the piece that we want to support them with most because, look, we're talking about practice. No, we want to show them coach games. Everybody wants to come for the games.
Right.
Half of them want to come for practice. But now you got a 25, 26-year-old coach, and you're like, hey, guess what? Now you got to go convince mom and dad, we're a better option than this other club. And now you got to get this guy to, make time for this over his girlfriend. That recruitment piece is really the biggest piece to a club going from one team to a 17U to a 15U. I want to come play for these guys because it's good ball.
And here's the other piece with, when you're talking development. I love what guys did with the PBR event this past year. You got probably do another one. What does that look like? And I think this is the interesting piece, in challenging your players. Okay, here was your numbers. You went, you did this and whatnot. When you go back, what did you want to improve on? Did you get better in the 60? Are you faster in that? You ran a 7.1. Do you want to be 6.9?
Yeah.
You ran a 7.5? Can you get to a 7.3, a 7.2? And taking those things, and that's what those things should be about. I know people go, well, it's just an event. No, it's an understanding of how did I get better? And these are measurements that show me and show a coach. Yep. If I go back to this, so you see the guy and what you look and you go, that kid's working.
Yep.
I know he's working because he's improved his numbers. And those are the things that I think show a coach. Yep. I can trust and rely on that kid too. When he comes back to the ball, that's a guy I know is putting in the work.
Well,
he's there.
We do every spring, we do a kickoff for our program. And one of my coaches who played in college ball, his older son, Jack, who played for us, played in college. He does a session on how you get recruited in college.
There you go.
And so we help them understand, like, it's easy. I've got a site I can pull up on my phone right now, which will tell you the average measurements and the average metrics at every level.
Exactly.
So as a player, the first thing I tell them is you got to know your numbers, right? To ask any teenage boy, hey, what do you squat? And I promise you, every athlete, teenage boy will
They'll tell you.
They know what they squat. Now, what's your 60 time?
They don't know that so much.
And it's like, okay, so you don't know that. Or, hey, it was a 7.2, but I've been doing 30s, and now it's a 7.1. Or I went to this PBR event, and it was on dirt. Well, that actually matters, right? When a coach says, what's your numbers? I ran a 7.23 on dirt. Okay, well, we can play on a turf field.
Tall grass. How tall is the grass?
It was
right?
more, so like one of the things I think is really important is helping families early on understand what each of these components do and don't do, right? Qualified third-party measurement of your data is important.
Mm-hmm.
Going on a camp, knowing when a school that may be of interest to you is having an on-campus showcase event is important to you.
Perfect.
Having events in the Legion environment, whether it's an all-star game, like I would say the one thing we need to do, and I haven't said this to Tom, so we'll say it right here. The one thing we need to do, and obviously we can't do it at Busch, we need to have a showcase event in advance of that game so that all those players who are all-stars can basically have a series of, whether it's D2, D3, JUCO, NAIA coaches come and put them through a pro-style workout of running the 60, throwing across the diamond, throwing from the outfield, all those things that coaches do on their own campus when they have a showcase event, but do it for all those guys. You've earned the ability to come play at Busch Stadium. We're also doing this other showcase day because coaches want their eyes on kids, right? I can tell you I run a 7, but if I see you run it, I can tell you I throw 85 across the diamond, but if I see you field it, I can tell you my exit velo's here, but if I see that you're catching the ball too far out in front instead of back more, and I know I as a coach can fix that, suddenly you're a different player in my eyes. And so I think these kind of things are important to us as an organization, a bigger organization, right? To just kind of continue to expand and grow how we help people understand what's possible post-high school and how you can get there.
I love that. These are the conversations I think I hope that the whole scope, because this is where it's got to begin to translate across the board throughout the state if you're looking at building a program.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. If you want to continue to succeed and move forward, these are the things that are out there right now, because not everybody is wanting to go play college baseball.
Nope.
But then there are a lot of these kids, and let me ask you this too. And I think this is where the majority of kids are. Mm-hmm. This is 90%. Because we know that 0.04% of all kids get into Major League Baseball. Yeah. That's not a lot.
Yep.
Okay, there's only 750 players total anyway, right? Okay. So what do you want to do with baseball? What is it to you? And I don't think we talk about that part of it enough. What do you want to do? If you're going to school, would you go to that school if you weren't playing ball? That's a great question. Kevin Mulder, first times he said that to me, I was like, oh, that's genius. Okay, so if we understand that. But would you like to go to college and continue playing ball as long as you can, have success, enjoy it? And I think, how much does that put on your resume?
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
And I think these are some of the conversations, that have to be had, because if you want to carry that dream of MLB into a JUCO, a Division II, an NAIA school and whatnot, fantastic. Go do it. I'm all for it. Don't lose the dream, Brady. But understand what the places that you're going.
So yeah, it's a great set of thoughts in terms of what are we doing here, right? I was at an event last week. So Carrick Jackson, who's the current head coach at
Sure.
Mizzou, he played Legion ball for Post 156 back in the day.
I did not know that.
See, fun
There you
fact.
go.
So Carrick
I
played
loved
for
it.
us. He actually coached for Manchester at one point,
Mm-hmm.
and has now gone on to great success. And I was at this event. Carrick's a really impressive guy. Got a great personal story, and nearly died from an embolism a few years ago.
Oh, wow.
And first black head coach in the SEC, first black assistant coach in the SEC.
Oh, wow.
And like a real trailblazer. And one of the things we say in our program is you can get there from here. And I say that in terms of whether that's high school ball, college ball, like you can get there.
Yeah.
When you meet someone like Carrick, what you realize is the there in him, beyond all the baseball stuff, is the character, the passion, the integrity. Like that's a guy, like we say this all the time, like that's the kind of guy you hope your daughter brings home and you're like, yeah, that's a stand-up guy. That's a man right there in all senses. And for me, one of the things, like if you talk to a lot of these high school guys, what are you going to major in college? Business, sports management, something. I don't know. Okay,
Right.
so business requires teamwork. It requires leadership. Sports management requires understanding what do you do when things go wrong. Like so many lessons we teach in this game, if we do it right, they don't even realize they're lessons. Right? Mm-hmm. I was actually, you talk about college ball. So my son's going through the recruiting process. He was with a coach on Sunday, and the coach says, one of my primary jobs here is to make these young men comfortable in uncomfortable situations.
Yeah.
That's baseball, right?
Yeah.
It's all uncomfortable. Like you're going to fail 7 out of 10 times. You're going to fail over and over again. And you have to get
at the plate.
with that.
If you're failing 7 out of 10 times in the field, you're in trouble.
Well, look, I mean, I've watched enough pitchers throw ball after ball to know that we're
I'm talking about the
Oh, I
fielding
know, yeah,
aspect.
but
No, I'm just teasing. It was funny.
But again, like so again, what are we here to do as a organization, right? And this is where Legion collectively is just bigger. In terms of what are we trying to do at a community level, right? We go back to the community, and I know we're going to talk about the 100th anniversary. Like one of the things we're trying to do with Post 156 is every Monday night we have community games. And it's us hosting a marquee program from somewhere around, Kirkwood High School, turf field, community invited out, selling burgers, food truck, trying to build this sense that's bigger than us as an individual.
I love that.
And that's why we do this. Look, there are lots of places, and they are good at it. They will take your check, they will put you on a team, and you can go anywhere from we're in the finals every Sunday to we play a summer of 3-30 baseball. And they don't lose any sleep no matter which way it goes.
That's right.
And that's okay. Like, that's a business model.
You know what? That's good. There's a lot of good programs out there doing a lot of good things for kids.
There's a place for every kid to play baseball in this state. And that's what we want. My view is what differentiates Legion from others is there's an opportunity to really focus in, not lose sight, but focus in on there's something bigger here we're trying to get to.
And that's the thing, Chris. I think, as you're trying to get back, that's where people have kind of lost. Legion kind of fell under the radar, for lack of a better way to put it, and putting it back on the radar, putting it back and talking about the things, that's the important thing. So people understand that it's here.
Yeah.
We're doing the things. This is who we are. This is what we are. And we have a great opportunity just as much, and give people a place to understand where they are. Because, like you said, you can go a lot of different places and play ball. What fits best, and taking a look and putting the things out there, I think that's what it should be. And you guys, I think you got to do that. You got to get Carrick Jackson back out there, and pictures and stuff. We're not to mention, we talk about this. Kevin Mulder's one of our on YBM. He's one of our
Kirkwood guy.
Yeah, he's one of our big contributors. He's on with Sissel all the time, and we're at me and whatnot. Talks baseball. He's the prep baseball scouting director for the state of Missouri. He was a Division I head coach. This is a guy. He started at Kirkwood, played Post 156 with Scott Goodrich.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of history in that program.
Yeah. And look, that's part of, like, again, like, I know Kevin. You know, we've broke bread together. Like,
sure.
Kevin's, again, you look at the character of some of these men and you say, look, if Legion had some small part of that, I'm gonna take credit for that.
And he would tell you it did.
Yeah. And so, like, I look around, and you look, you've had plenty of guests on your shows talking about these changes with Division I baseball and size limits and scholarships. Yeah. And there are a lot of parents who, you know, we debate all the time. Like, I'll tell parents, if you're a D1 player, I'm not the right fit for you. I wish I was, but you
maybe in the future. You know, you never know.
Maybe. Look, if I was in Moberly, Missouri, I would be the right fit for you.
Yeah.
If I was in Jackson, Missouri, I might be the right fit for you. The reality is, when you look at national travel opportunities for some of these D1 kids here locally, I don't fault them one bit for doing what they're doing. They are putting themselves in a position where D1 coaches are seeing them on the regular. There used to be a time that was Legion ball.
Right.
It isn't right now in this state, and that may or may not change. It will depend on the caliber of the levels, right? We talked about, like, if D10 had 8 guys who were going to play D1 ball next year, coaches would show up to scout that.
Yep.
We don't right now. That's okay, because I can get JUCO coaches. I can get D2 coaches to come watch us play ball, because they know when I text them and say, hey, I got this kid you should look at, he trusts
the fact that you're
they're going to trust that. So where we're trying to get to is a place where parents understand there's a lot of change going on, right? I've been at, Carrick talked about this last week at the event he was at here in town. I've talked to multiple coaches in my son's own process about the trickle down effect and who's going to benefit from that, who's not. It's going to change some dynamics of, you know, I was with a parent last week at this event, and she's like, well, my return on investment has gone way down now. Because I probably don't have a D1 kid at home. I have a D2 or a D3 kid, and the scholarship opportunities and all of that suddenly changes. All right, well, I don't know that that's really the reason you should have done it in the first place. You do you, maybe not. But, like, you're going to start to see parents, I think there's a moment coming where they go, all right, I'm doing all of this to then end up, and this is not a knock of these locations. They fit the profile at a Maryville D2, at a McKendree D2, at a Webster D3, at a Mineral Area JUCO. Did I need to invest all of that to get there?
And that's a question to ask. I think it's a fair question.
Let me say this. In the next 2 to 3 years, a lot of parents are going to say, did I really spend $5,000 a summer to have my kid end up at East Central College? Is that the path was that what I needed to do?
It's a fair question.
I don't know the answer, and everybody has to decide that on their own.
And I think that's I think even clubs outside of American Legion are starting to ask that question, because I'm hearing a lot of guys, we're not traveling near as much, we're not doing, because of those types of things. Most kids, we know this, that the statistics bear this out. Most kids are going to school about 2 hours or maybe even a 200-mile radius from their house, if that far. And that's the nature of it.
So here's how when I first started, when my son got to high school, talking to some club guys, they're like, we never travel more than a 6-hour radius, because most kids don't want to go any further away from home than they drive. And
one of the factors with that, I'm sorry to interrupt you real quick, but is just they want mom and dad to be able to watch them play ball.
Sure. Well, I mean,
right?
They also tend to have a girl back at home that they want to be able to see on. They
I was trying to keep it.
But whatever mom and dad. Like if they want mom and dad to bring money and take them out to eat. That's absolutely why they want them. But no, so let's think about this though. So if I'm going to stay within 5 hours, and I've got the opportunity to play, all right. So I go down to Maryville down in Memphis, and I play on their hybrid turf infield, grass outfield, and one of the Maryville assistants happens to be sitting there when I have a good game. Or I can pay the $195 to go to Maryville's, identifier camp that all their coaches are there and running. And so now I spend $195 to go to a school I might have interest in versus I played one game on their turf field as part of a weekend tournament and maybe I do or don't. There are different ways I think parents will become more attuned to like, oh, all right, I need to do a PBR type event to get my numbers.
Yep.
I need to go, there's a JUCO showcase over here. There's a showcase on this school's campus. If you ask most high school or most college coaches, they will tell you they get a ton of emails via recruiting services, and there's one response they give back. Here's when our on-campus event is. We hope you come to it.
There you go.
And then you go, oh, here are the 5 of those I want to go to. And so I think there are different ways for guys to get to where they want to be. Legion Baseball gives them a great foundation to not only succeed in that way, but beyond that.
Man, I looked up here, and we've been chatting a while. I didn't even realize
that's
that, man.
That's why we do that.
That's a fantastic
That's why you only have me
conversation.
out here every 6 months.
Oh, no, dude.
We go way too long.
Fantastic conversation. I love this. So tell us, just give us a quick synopsis, the Centennial Games. We know there.
Yeah.
What's that mean to you?
Look, I think all of these things are great because they connect what Legion is, right? If I can play a team from across the state and we can have it televised so that my players have clips to be able to post, those are all wins. If my players know we can go down to Busch Stadium and we can play a game on that field, it's different. Like, so all these things we do, like there's the notion of join the tradition, like trying to convince 15, 16-year-olds to be part of something bigger and older than them, like they tend to resist that. But to help them understand, and this is where all of this youth in our district excites me so much, to help them understand, like, hey, you went off to college and you're playing college ball, you're playing on the club team. If you want to come back and help me out during the summer, happy to have you. That's how we build that succession plan. That's how we build that culture. Yeah. I want my guys to know when they walk away from our team, the guys who left me this past summer, door's always open.
Absolutely.
I text with a couple of them on the regular just to make sure they're doing all right. That's what Legion is, because it's not a transaction based on got to go to college, got to write a check. It's a culture built on 100 years now of something bigger than yourself.
Just drop the mic right there, bro. Just do it. Fantastic. Chris Copeland, folks.
Thanks for having me.
Post 156, Kirkwood. Always a pleasure.
Hey, man. It's good stuff. We'll see you again in the spring when we get rolling.
Oh, we'll probably do it something quicker than that. But, folks, thanks for tuning in. If you like this conversation, please hit the subscribe button. Hit the dinger next to it. It's not a home run, but it gets you notifications for upcoming episodes such as this. Great conversations. We appreciate it. Remember, Legion Baseball. Go to Legion America. Excuse me, I'm going to start over. If you want to learn more about Legion Baseball in Missouri, go to MissouriAmericanLegionBaseball.org. Check it out. All the teams, what's going on there. We appreciate it very much. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. If you're looking for something, if you're in the Kirkwood area, what's your base school? Base school's Kirkwood?
Kirkwood, Webster, Lindbergh, Melville, Oakville.
Boom.
Come see us.
There you go. Thanks for tuning in, folks. All of you pitchers, keep throwing strikes, and hitters, give them some advice.
Swing for the fence, man.
There you go. We'll see y'all next time.